Welcome to All About Paris. Today I'm gonna show you a very particular and interesting arrondissement of Paris, which is the 4th district. Today it's a Sunday, it's around 17 hours, 5 p.m., and it's the 26th of March, right at the end of the month and the beginning of spring. Finally, we've been waiting a long time. Right now, you're seeing what's the Ile de la Cité, where Notre Dame is, and also you'll find to the right Ile Saint Louis. So, for our walk today, we'll show you some of the most interesting areas of this arrondissement. And if you can see right there, we are at Quai de la Tournelle, Pont de la Tournelle, and you can see the backside of the statue of Saint Geneviève, which is, as I mentioned before in one of my videos, the patron saint of the city of Paris. So as you can see, it was a beautiful day, just right to the moment I decided to come out, as is usually the case in Paris. And you can see to your right a café restaurant, which is La Rôtisserie d'Argent, which is la rôtisserie of one of the most famous restaurants in the city, which is Tour d'Argent. So right from here, we're gonna start our walk. It's actually a particular day of spring. Normally it's beautiful and ugly. It changes quite fast here in the city. It's important to know if you're moving here and you're coming from a very warm place or a place that have sustainable temperatures, averages, that's not the case in the city. Here we really have weather that changes by the hour. Not particularly temperature-wise, but mostly sun-wise, sunshine-wise. As you can see, the moment spring comes back, there's a large number of tourists that comes to the city at this time. So right now we're crossing the Seine River and we are going through specifically to the Ile Saint Louis Island. There you can see Notre Dame that is being rebuilt. And hopefully it's gonna be ready in a couple months, I hope. But I guess there's a lot of things to do yet. So the fourth arrondissement of Paris is, as I mentioned before, very particular because it's the only arrondissement of the city that has two islands in it. Basically, it's Ile Saint Louis and Ile de la Cité, as I just said before. And it's also one of the most exclusive neighborhoods of the city. I think it's the most expensive real estate by a square meter. So it's very pleasant and it's very touristy. I've been particularly right next to Notre Dame. It is a very small island, so you'll see I've been walking for probably less than 5 minutes, and I have crossed from south to the north more than 50% of the island already. However, it's very interesting because it's one of the few places where you find the Middle Ages architecture and Middle Ages streets, which I have to say you don't find very often in Paris after the Haussmannian rebuilding of the city. It is amazing to see that this island actually in the 1500s and 1600s was an empty city, well, an empty island where you had basically animals that would feed in this area, but nobody used to live here. And now it has become practically what you call the center of the city of Paris. And although it's really high in density, it's nothing compared to the end of the 19th century, where you had, I think, around 68,000 people by square kilometer. I think right now it must be around the 19,000 people per square kilometer. I will try to put that into square miles. So we now live in the city, the island. We're crossing again the Seine River here, and we're living behind the island. Okay, so as you can see, it's longer from east to west, but it's not as long if you go from north to south, or vice versa. I understand that the Saint Louis Island, it's one of the most expensive real estate spaces in the city, and you can get to 20,000 euros per square meter, which is really high, but for most of mortals. Anyways, still, I think it's totally worth it. It's beautiful at night. It's really quiet. There's almost no people. It's like if you are really in another time. So now that we crossed the Seine River, we're getting into the right bank. And it's in this part where you have most of the main attractions. The fourth arrondissement has many monuments and buildings, and you can find that everywhere. It's also part of the Marais district, or the Marais neighborhood, which is mainly known for being the gay center, the gay neighborhood of the city, but also there's a huge and important Jewish community in this part of the city. Between the third, the fourth, the second arrondissement. It's very nice temperature today. It's around 12, 13 degrees Celsius. And it's between sunny and rainy, so if you can see, there's some droplets. It's raining a little bit. So as usual, there's a line of people waiting to go to some kind of exposition, and this one is from la Maison Européenne de la Photographie, which is the photography house, I would say. And they usually have different expos. There's this artist that he has these beautiful small details that I will probably talk to you about in the future. Not right now, but it's very nice to go through the city. For example, now we in Rue de Forcy, and you can find those everywhere. But it's interesting because it changes and it has like a specific design of pixels, although he does it with mosaics. So now we're between Rue de Forcy and Rue de Rivoli. This is one very interesting famous square, which is the Saint-Paul metro station, and it's actually the main station for the gay district of Paris, which is, as I said before, Les Marais. Usually a lot of people around. There's this carousel that is here most of the year. I think they take it down like during some weeks, if I'm not wrong. But most of the year it is here. I will go through this market, which is Brocante. Brocante market is usually where you find people from, many sellers selling different work of arts, antiquities. And it's very interesting just to come and see what they sell, because they have like cutlery and jewelry and mirrors and paintings, and it's a great time to find beautiful things to buy. They are not necessarily, I would say, flea markets because things can get really
You make
expensive.
videos?
Ah oui, je fais des vidéos
Sur quoi?
sur Paris.
Oh, beautiful. What is your account?
All about Paris.
All about YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, bye. Good video.
Merci.
Maman, pourquoi tu t'en fais comme ça? Ah, moi. Ah, moi.
So that was a very young French guy asking me what I do. Asking me about the, well, he was partly speaking in English. So usually in this part of, in these markets you find many kinds of different objects that are really quite interesting. However, there's usually a lot of people and that can be difficult to move around.
Tiens, retourne un peu, papa.
Usually in this part of town on Sundays there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people, because it's a place where Parisians and tourists they come to buy things and they come just to window shop or have a tea or a coffee. So when you get all these people together, it can really be quite crowded, as any big city, I would say. There's also this tendency of these cafes and stores having all these flowers. Some of them are really interesting, beautiful. I have to say, it looks beautiful. Although it's a trend that I've seen has become a big trend in the city the last years. I guess it is nice, it's just different. I guess it's very good for Instagram pictures. I don't know, you let me know what you think about this trend. I think it's mostly a global trend. I don't think it's particularly a Parisian trend. So you see all this neighborhood is filled with beautiful boutiques. Even if there are many different high-end boutiques for large brands, there's also many boutiques that are individually owned. And then I'm sure if prices can be afforded, you can have a very interesting piece, and you probably will be the only one that will have it, which is, I guess, good if you pay big bucks for it. Now we're entering at Rue Pavée, and it's one of my favorite streets in this neighborhood because it's all this beautiful mixed architecture, very old architecture. For example, like this building right here, which is like an hotel particulier, and you can have this wonderful building next to other buildings that are relatively new from the 1900s. I've been wanting to make more videos about Paris these late weeks, but the truth is that the situation, the political situation, the social situation in the city has been quite difficult because there are a lot of manifestation, protests, and actually it has been a little bit tricky between the strikes, and if you have been watching the news, there's a lot of garbage in the streets. Not all districts, because some of the districts have private companies to pick up the garbage, so there's no as much garbage. But some other districts have particularly a lot of garbage because they depend on the public office, the city hall, to get the garbage away. And since they're on a strike, it has amount to large quantities of garbage. I had seen before a lot of garbage like that, but this time it's like, I think, almost 3 weeks of garbage, so it's a lot.
Si ça avait été plus tôt dans la collection, j'aurais pu. Il a dû partir moi aussi.
So now we're entering to Place des Bauges, which is one of the most famous squares in the city. It is a very beautiful square. I will try just to find the right way to show you around. And it's beautiful in my opinion for two things, because you have these beautiful arches, brick layer, and in those arches you really have like nice restaurants, but also you have all these art galleries, and they constantly change the objects that they have. And at night, particularly when there's not a lot of people, it is really very beautiful. So I'm turning in Rue du Verne, and the particular thing about this plaza square is that it has many streets that get into the square, and it's like if you can get out or get in from many different streets in this neighborhood. It is a very affluent neighborhood, and I think it has been in this square for a long time. One example is that in one of these buildings that are surrounding this square, you can find the house of Victor Hugo. It's a very good visit. It's very short, but it's a very beautiful apartment, and I recommend you check it out if you have the chance. So in Place des Bauges, you have all these buildings around the main square. They are basically 3 to 4 story highs, and they have uniformity and architectural uniformity that makes the square looks very, very beautiful. During summertime or beautiful springtime days, people come here in their seat with their kids or by themselves, and they have picnics, which makes it quite enjoyable. They have got new benches in this part, and you can see the benches are exactly the type of benches you find for Parisian apparel. They're wooden benches with iron frames, and that's very interesting to see new ones, because they usually are very old, but at some point they have to get them repaired. As you can see, even if it's spring, the trees are still without leaves, and it's a totally different atmosphere when you come here in summer, because it looks very, very green, and the green just shows out very well in comparison with the sandy floors, the sandy soil.
Parce que c'est bloqué de l'autre côté à cause de tout.
even if Paris is one of the most expensive cities in the world, there's something that is very nice about the cities that you just can decide to go out anytime, walk around without spending a buck. Well, if you live nearby, well, Intramuros, which is out of the metropolitan area, but the core of the city of Paris, it's really nice just to go out. You don't have to spend any money. It's going out every day. It's like going to discover new city because there's so many things that are packed into this small space. Of course, there's always the people that makes nice because it's part of the city. You can meet new people. You can, see what they're wearing, what they're eating. That's nice. But at the same time, to navigate, as you can see right here, it can become a little bit frustrating, especially if you don't have a lot of time. Yes, that's chocolate.
Non abbiamo comprato la finata dalla cosa da portare.
Now we're entering to the Boulevard des Beaux Marchés. It has all these buildings from different time periods, different French architecture, and that makes it very, very beautiful. It's one of the main arteries that go directly to the next place I want to show you, which is Place de la Bastille. I hope there's no protests going on in Place de la Bastille. In any ways, if there is any protest, that's okay in a sense, because one of the interesting things of the French society and culture is that people really are into protesting for their rights. When they think something needs to be addressed and changed, people really show it. And that's really something to admire as a society. However, it can be tricky sometimes when those protests get out of hand. Oh well, let's just enjoy this beautiful boulevard. So there you can see more or less the price of things. In the city, you can easily see there's a lot of happy hours in most of the cafes, and people take advantage of it. It's a very early city, I would say, not as early as London, where you have the after-work culture. Here you have it too, because you can go out with your colleagues for a drink, but I'd say at the peak it'd be like 20 for eating and drinking, and then like if you go to a discotheque or a bar, it would be like at midnight. It's not It's not the extreme of London where people start very, very early and then the night end quite early as well. And it's not the extreme of Madrid where people go really, really late and they start eating like by 9 p.m. or midnight or something like that. So I'd say Paris is right in the middle of Madrid and London in terms of nightlife and dinner time. So it's starting to rain again. We are arriving at the end of our video today, and this is the metro station for La Bastille. And if I can make you remember some of your history classes, this is where the infamous prison was built to imprison those that were against the monarchy before the French Revolution. And it was here where the French Revolution started, when the French people and Parisians got fed up of politicians that in that time were the aristocracy, and then they destroyed and burned down La Bastille, so they liberated many of the prisoners. And right now there's this monument over here, and you can find a beautiful, one of the most important operas in the world, which is Opera La Bastille, and it's a quite contemporary new building in comparison with the old building of Opera Garnier. But it's actually still very interesting, and it has a wonderful company, the Opera of Paris company. So you could see in a couple minutes we have a very big change in the weather in the city, as is normal for a springtime. But hopefully it's gonna get better soon, and I will be able to make more interesting videos. Please let me know what you think about what different parts of the city you'd like to discover, so we can have our next adventure. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.